शास्त्रोत्तमम् देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीर्वुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। We'll just come 1 minute. Here. फिर टीयर राउंड होती टीयर। सारी ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यशितारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Would somebody like to recollect last week's class?
Should I try, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yeah, so 64th was conduct of a saintly person. When a person gives charity, it should be done in a concealed way. Pradhanam Pachanam, following the proper conduct of Atithi Satkar, one who comes at home. After doing good work, that is one beneficial work, one must keep silent. Somebody who has who's done good to you, you should glorify him, speak about it to all. When person gets wealthy, he should not be proud of his wealth. And when someone is discussing about others, like whatever prajalpa or something, one must not indulge in that, criticize them, hear also and speak also, both. Then saintly people follow these qualities as if it is asidhara vrata midam. So following these qualities, it's very tough. It is like walking on razor's edge, because in this world there is so much temptation. So one tries to exhibit all whatever they've done for others, declare, charity, etc. Uh, then yourself spoke about the examples from Srimad Bhagavatam. Um Talking about guest reception out of Pancha Mahayagna, which is essential for Grihastha. One is Atithi Devo Bhava, that is Atithi Seva. When yourself spoke about four Kumaras coming to Prithu Maharaj's palace, and Prithu Maharaj quotes this verse that when an attached householder is poor, but he becomes highly glorified when he receives a saintly person at home. And then yourself spoke about how one must glorify these saints. One how one must the attitude, like one must give straw mat, sweet words, obeisances, and even if there is no facility, then at least one must do whatever that person can, and how His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj speaks about that it is due to serve guest visitors who come to the temple, and not only guest reception service department has to do this. Then Mahabharat Vana Parva, you spoke about when Pandavas goes to forest, Yudhishthir Maharaj, then how Brahmanas follow him. But then Yudhishthir Maharaj says that that people, they are dependent on me, but I'm not able to serve them, so that he has that regret. Then four things: one should never have shortage in their house, that yourself discussed about it. Then five components of Atithi Yagna you discussed. Then how in description in Paryavartan, hellish planet, if one just glances with cruel glances at the Atithi, then what happens to him? Then Rantidev's glorification was done. Then Krishna during Rajasuya Yagna, that was done. Sudama, how he's highly renounced Brahmana, and the way Krishna received Sudama. Then Narayan, how they received the Devtas. Pandavas in Ekachakra, Bakasur demon, and then a conversation between Kashyapa and Aditi. And you even glorified how you spoke about how the story about this Bakasur demon, the story highlights family sentiments and values, and how to sacrifice, how it was so difficult for those poor people to sacrifice guests and brahmanas, because they were guests as well as brahmanas. So they were going through so much difficulty, but still they were wanting to sacrifice their family members, but not whom they were hosting. And then, so in this story, one must meditate the thinking pattern of the family, their consciousness, principles of guest reception, and how one needs to sacrifice. And then there was, you spoke about Krishna came to Indraprastha. Then how Krishna was given new experience of guest reception by Yudhishthira Maharaj. One, then how one should live in his own house as a guest, because one will not have a sense of proprietorship. So principle of detachment was spoken. Then about Agyatwas, Uttar Kumar episode was spoken. How Arjuna did not reveal his identity. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Path spoke about the love in the heart of a lover, a beloved. The love is compared to the lamp, and how if one glorifies or expresses oneself by saying that he's done so much sacrifices, then how the lamp will get extinguished when the door is open, that door shuns the flames. So the credit will go away. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gambhira, Govinda, that episode you spoke about, that just speaks about finer points of etiquette in devotional service. That is Priyam Kritva Monam, that we discussed in that. Then how cohort friends of Krishna, they were not hungry, but they said that Krishna and Balram are hungry. So see, they just said that they were hungry and they wanted to get some food for them so that they can serve Krishna and Balram. So Krishna and Balram would tell them the means to get, and in that way they would serve them. Then Sadasi Kathan, to express gratitude, glorify that person. So one who's not grateful, then the Mother Earth, it says he's a burden to her. And then Subhashitas were described about the lowest of all animals is not the dog, but the one who's ungrateful. Then there is atonement for killing brahmanas, and even if one has liquor, but there's no atonement for ungratitude people. Then one must not be proud of oneself. And even there's one very strong statement was said that even a meat-eating animal will not eat meat of an ungrateful person. Then not being proud of oneself, that you discussed about Vaman Dev to Bali Maharaj. If human being is born in aristocratic family, or he's got very highly qualified in terms of knowledge, beautiful, high birth, then he should, if he's not proud, that means that he's been favored by the Supreme Lord. Then that not speaking or hearing of criticism of others in public. So yourself spoke about people like to hear controversial things, and Raghunath Das Goswami did not want to hear ninda of anybody. Then Rupa Goswami's quality of Uttam Adhikari, he is the one, he's freed from the propensity to find faults in others. And just wanted to say that when people like to hear controversial things and all that, Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, that jewel of Satyajit, we can speak about that example.
Shamantaka jewel story.
Yeah.
How the Shamantaka jewel, in Dwaraka, there was a rumor, people were speaking that Krishna had stolen the jewel. That's what?
Yeah. And one more thing, I heard the story long back about Sripad. One woman, she wanted to serve Sripad Ramanujacharya. So this, I was just trying to connect with the guest reception, that, and she didn't have anything, and how she went to a person who was a grocer, and that story is really touching, and how his consciousness got transformed. That's a very striking, very touching story.
So that comes more in the category of Guru Seva, actually, in order to serve her Guru.
Okay.
It's not just guest reception is a dharmic principle.
Okay.
There, it has been more emphasized about serving the Guru. Ramanujacharya would come to their house, but they were poor and they didn't have anything to cook for the Ramanujacharya and his disciples. And she volunteered herself to be even a prostitute just to earn money, actually. That comes in the category of dedication to the Guru.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, that's it. I don't know.
So thank you very much, Mataji. We'll go to the next shloka, 65th shloka. Hare shlagyasthyaga shirasi gurupada pranayita mukhe satyavani vijayu bujayor viryamatulam hridhi swachhavritti shrutamadigatam cha shravanayor vinapyaishwaryena prakriti magatam mandanamidam. So let us go through the shloka. Very beautiful shloka, meaningful. Kare, second. Kare shlagyah. Kare shlagyah tyag. Shlagyah means some prashamsaniyah, something which is something glorious. Kare shlagya tyagah. That means what is really something glorious for the hand is that when a person performs a charity with one's hands, or we can say the real ornament of the hand is the charity. Hath mein prashamsaniya dana. The hand becomes glorious when the hand is utilized to give charity. Kare shlagya tyagah. So the word shlagya can be used for all the other sentences also, all the other parts of this verse also. Shirasi shlagyah gurupada pranayita. The head becomes glorious when the head bows down to the feet of the Guru. Gurupada pranayita. Mukhe satyavani. The mouth becomes glorious when the mouth speaks the truth. Vijayi, Bhujayor, Vijayi atulam viryam. Bhuja means the arms. The arms become glorious. Arms become glorious when the arms display extraordinary prowess. Atulam viryam. Or a person shows great courage with one's arms. Atulam viryam. Atulam means incomparable. जिसका तुलना नहीं कर सकते हैं. वीर्यम, prowess or courage. Hridi swachha vrittihi. Hridi, the heart is glorious when the mind is pure. It means a person has a pure mind without any contamination, free from the anarthas. Hriday mein nirmala bhav, without the kama, krodha, lobha, mada, matsara. And shravanayoshcha adhigatam shrutam. The real ornaments of the ears are when the person utilizes the ears for hearing the shastras. Adhigatam shrutam. Adhigatam means jnatam, shrutam is shastram. So when a person utilizes the ears for hearing the shastra, the Vedic shastras, then the ears become glorious. And then idam aishwaryena vina api prakriti makatam mandanam. So mandanam means ornament. So aishwaryena vina api. Even if a person does not have the wealth, a person may not have the bracelets in one's hand, which is the ornament for the hand. One may not have maybe the crown in the head. One may not have maybe armlets, some armbands for the arms. So even without the opulences, without the wealth, aishwaryena vina api prakriti mahatam mandanam. When a person possesses these qualities are the real ornaments. So हाथ में प्रशंसनीय दान, सिर पर गुरु के चरणों में किया गया प्रणाम, मुख में सत्य वचन, भुजाओं में विजयकारक अतुलित बल, हृदय में निर्मल भाव तथा कानों में शास्त्र का ज्ञान, ये सब स्वभाव से बड़े पुरुषों के लिए धन आदि के बिना ही प्राप्त गहने हैं. When without the wealth and other things, but these are the natural ornaments of the great people. So we see that these are very good actually Niti principles which can be taught. I will just go through, some similar shlokas on the same theme. from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, third chapter. Here, almost the same theme is utilized, the same thing is being spoken, but in relation to devotional service to Krishna, bhakti to Krishna. So here Bhartruhari is speaking in a general way as a niti, giving dana. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Suta Goswami is speaking, the sages of Naimisharanya headed by Shaunaka Rishi are speaking these verses. Second canto, third chapter, 20th shloka onwards. There are 3-4 shlokas. Pile batoru krama vikramanye nashinvata karnapute narasya jihva satidar durikeva suta nachopagayatyurghaya ghatha. Says that one who has not listened to the messages about the prowess and the marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead, and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord, is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of a snake and a tongue like the tongue of a frog. So in this theme of the verses, in this theme, the sages are saying, Shaunaka Rishi is telling that how our every bodily part should be utilized to serve Krishna. If a person has not utilized his tongue for glorifying Krishna, his tongue is like the tongue of a frog. When the frog actually croaks, it only attracts the snake to come. The snake comes and actually eats the frog. It means like when the frog croaks, it only invites the death in the form of the snake. Therefore, if the tongue is not utilized in the service of Krishna by glorifying Krishna, then that kind of a tongue is like the croaking of a frog. And if the ear is not utilized to hear about the glorious qualities and the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, then those ear holes are like the holes of a snake. Those ear holes are like the holes of a snake. Why it is compared to the snake? Actually, snake has. They are compared to the. Anyway, we'll go to the next shloka. I'll see what is the why it is compared to the ear of the snake. And then the next shloka, Shaunaka Rishi says that Paraparam patta kirita justam apyuttamangam nanamed mukundam shavau karauno kurute saparyam harer lasad kanchana kankanauva. So here he says the upper portion of the body, although it may be crowned with a silken turban or maybe a good crown, but that it is only considered as a heavy burden if the head is not utilized to bow down in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who can award mukti? Apyuttamangam na namen mukundam. Mukunda means the giver of liberation. If a person does not bow down before Mukunda, then even if the head is decorated with a beautiful turban or a crown, then that head simply becomes a burden. The crown simply becomes a burden. And the hands, although the hands may be decorated with glittering bangles, kanchana kankanauva, but if the hand is not utilized to engage in the service of Krishna, then those hands are considered like the hands of a dead man. If not engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord Hari. And then the next shloka, they say that बर्हायिते ते नयनेन राणा लिंगाणि विष्णोर्न निरीक्षतो ये पादौ नृणां तौ द्रुमजन्म भाजौ क्षेत्राणि नानुव्रजतो हरेर्यौ. And here the Saunaka Rishi says that if the eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of God and Vishnu, I mean the eyes which is not utilized to take darshan of the deity forms of Lord Vishnu, then those eyes are like those printed on the plumes of the peacock. And the legs which do not move to the holy places are considered to be like the tree trunks. They become condemned if the legs are not utilized in the service of Krishna. And then next shloka, Jivan shavo bhagavatangri renum najatu martyo bilabeta yastu Shri Vishnu padya manujastulasya shvasanchavo yastu na veda gandham. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotees upon his head is certainly considered to be a living dead man. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulasi leaves, that means if the nostril is not utilized to smell the tulasi leaves offered to Vishnu, if the nostril is not utilized to smell the flowers offered to Vishnu, then such a person's body is like a dead body, although breathing. And then one more shloka. This is a beautiful shloka. Tadashmasaram hridayam batedam yadgruhyamaneir harinamadeyir na vikriyeta yada vikaro netre jalam gatra ruheshu harshaha. So when a person chants the holy names of the Lord, but even after chanting, if one's heart does not melt, if the tears don't flow from his eyes, if the hairs don't stand on the end, then such a person's heart is considered to be steel framed in spite of chanting the holy name of the Lord. So in this way, in these verses, it is explained how every part of the body should be utilized in the service of Krishna. If we don't utilize that, then those limbs of the body are not considered glorious. They are considered to be the limbs of a living dead man. And one of the example of the person who utilized all his limbs in the service of Krishna is actually Ambarish Maharaj. About Ambarish Maharaj also there is a beautiful verse. Savai Manak Krishna Padaravindayor Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane Karau Harer Mandira Marjanadishu Shrutim Chakara Chutasat Katodaye Mukunda Linga Layadarshane Drishau Tadbritya Gatra Sparshenga Sangamam Granam Cha Tatpada Saroja Saurabe Srimat Tulasya Rasanam Tadarpite Padau Hare Kshetra Padanu Sarpane Shiro Rishikesha Padabi Vandane Kamam Cha Dasye Natu Kama Kamyaya Yatottama Janashrayaratihi. So these three verses speak about how Ambarish Maharaj utilized every part of his body in the service of Krishna. Savai Manak Krishna Padaravindayor. First, he engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna. So this verse, Bhartrhari says that the real ornament of the mind is to have a pure disposition. But the real purity can be, the purity of the mind is obtained when the mind is fixed on Krishna. Tasmat kena pyupayena mana Krishne niveshayet. Somehow or other, one must fix one's mind on Krishna. Again, this is a verse from the Bhagavatam. And Ambarish Maharaj, he utilized his words in describing the glories of the Lord. Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane. And Karau Harer, he utilized his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple. And utilized his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. And he engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna and Krishna's temples and Krishna's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. And he engaged a sense of touch in touching the bodies of Krishna's devotees. And he engaged a sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulasi offered to the Lord. And he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasadam. And he engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and the temples of the Lord. And he engaged his head in bowing down before the Lord. And he engaged all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in the devotional service of the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment for the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. So Ambarish Maharaj's example is something very special, because in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami talks about how different personalities achieved perfection by different processes of bhakti. Parishit Maharaj achieved perfection by Shravanam, Shukdev Goswami achieved perfection by Kirtanam, Prahlad Maharaj achieved perfection by Smaranam, etc. But after giving examples for each process, he mentions that Ambarish Maharaj's position is special because he engaged in all the 9 processes of bhakti. And Ambarish Maharaj was the emperor of the world. Usually in this world, when there are rich people, if you go to Ambani's place, or they also have temples in their house actually. But usually rich people, they have appointed their priest for worshipping the Lord. And they may go and worship the deities, take darshan. But usually somebody else is appointed, some paid pujari is appointed for worshipping the Lord. So we delegate. But Ambarish Maharaj's example, we feel that Ambarish Maharaj, he personally engaged. He could have appointed a servant to clean the temple. But he showed by his personal example that devotional service to Krishna is not to be delegated. You may delegate other responsibilities, but he showed by his example how by utilizing every one of his senses in the service of Krishna. Otherwise, one may think, oh, this can be delegated. This can be delegated. But he showed by his example, by he utilized his legs in going to the temple, holy places. So therefore, this is a very important, this one. The Bhartrhari's principle spoken here, what becomes the ornament of the different bodily limbs from a general moral dharmic point of view. The same principle reaches the highest pinnacle when those limbs and our bodily parts are utilized in the service of Krishna. That is the real ornament of each part of the body. So this is the 65th shloka. We'll go to the next shloka. Sampatsu mahatam chittam bhavat utpala komalam आपत्सु च महाशैला शिला संगात कर्कशम. This is a beautiful shloka. This shloka talks about, we are discussing this section. In this section, essentially, Bhartrhari is talking about the sajjanas, the qualities of great people. So, here he is speaking about the sajjanas from the point of view of equanimity, or what is the uh, inner mind of a great person during sampatti and during apatti, during success and during calamities. So, sukeshu dukkeshu cha sajjananam cheto vrittihi kidrishi bhavati iti darshayati. What is the mindset, state of mind of a sajjana during the sukha and dukkha? So, what is the anvaya of the shloka? Mahatam chittam sampatsu utpala komalam. Apatsu cha mahashaila shila sangata karkasham bhavati. So, Mahatam Chittam, the mind of the great people. Sampatsu, during Sampatti, during Sampatti ke samay, when there is a prosperity, during prosperity, Utpala Komalam. Kamala ki banti Komala hota hai. So, Sampatti ke samay, Kamala ki banti Komala hota hai. His heart is soft like a lotus. Apatsu cha Mahashaila Shila Sangata Karkasham Bhavati. And Vipatti ke samay, during calamities, his mind is like a Mahashaila Shila Sangata Karkasham Bhavati. So Shaila is the mountain. Mahashaila. It is like great mountain, a big mountain. Shila Sangata Karkasham Bhavati. There are many stones in the great mountain. Karkasham means hard like a stones of a great mountain. विपत्ति के समय बड़े पर्वत की चट्टानों की समूह की भांति खड़ा हो जाता है. A big mountain will have very big stones actually. So during adversity, his mind is hard as a great mountain rock. It is very difficult to, suppose if you have gone to some places like Kishkinda Kshetra in Karnataka, what is that place? Near Hampi, where Lord Ram spent his 4 months of the Chaturmasya in separation from Sita. There is a cave near the Malayavan Parvata. In those places, if you have visited, there are like huge stones are there. Huge stones are there. So those stones, very difficult to move those stones. So during adversity, the mind of a great person is hard as a great mountain rock. It is very difficult to shake his mind. During prosperity, the heart of a great is as soft as a lotus. That means, what is the bhavartha of the shloka? Sampattau satyam sajjanaha kamala iva komale manasi dayam vahanto. During prosperity, the mind of a great person it becomes very soft-hearted. That means his mind becomes filled with daya bhavana, with a merciful attitude. That means he utilizes prosperity for helping others. Instead of becoming elated by that prosperity and then using that prosperity to gratify one's senses, he utilizes the property to help others. And vipadam jananam duri kartum prayatante. That means like when there is a prosperity, his mind becomes very filled with merciful attitude, and therefore he utilizes that property to eradicate the miseries of people who are in adversity. Vipadam jananam duri kartum prayatante. And then vipattaucha punaha prastara iva Katine manasi dhairyam vakantah sakalam apatitam dukkam sahanta iti. And during adversity, his mind becomes unshakable, like a hard rock. That means he develops a dhairya. He develops a dhairya, perseverance. So that means he tolerates the miseries. Dhairyam vahantah sakalam apatitam dukkam sahanta iti. See, whatever difficulties which have fallen upon him, he tolerates them. Sakalam apatitam dukkam sahanta iti. This is the mind of a great person. So, if we see what I can think in relation to the shloka, we can see the shloka from the Bhagavad Gita second chapter. The Bhagavad Gita second chapter, Arjuna asks a question to Krishna about the Sita Prajna. Sita Prajnasya Kabasha Samadhistasya Keshava Sitadi Kim Pravasheta Kimasita Vrajeta Kim. How does a Sita Prajna speak? How does he walk? How does he sit? These are the questions asked about questions asked by Arjuna about the Sita Prajna, self-realized person. And in relation to that, Krishna speaks several verses. I'll quote one verse from that. Just 1 minute. Yeah, Krishna speaks a verse. Dukeshu anudvignamana sukeshu vigataspruha Vitaraga Bayakrodha Sitadir Muniruchate. It's a beautiful shloka where Krishna says that one whose mind is undisturbed when reasons for sorrow strike, and one who does not crave or have thirst to enjoy the pleasures when reasons for pleasures come, and one who is free from attachment, and one who is free from fear and anger, and he who has his mind attached only on the Jivatma is called a Sita Prajna. So this is a beautiful shloka. So first he says that Anudvigna Mana, one whose mind is undisturbed. During Dukkeshu, when actually sorrows come. So what is actually the definition of a Dukkha and a Sukha? So Dukkha means separation from that which we like or union with which we don't like. That is what Dukkha. Sukha means union with which we like and separation from which we don't like. So Dukkeshu, when there is a cause of distress, that means a person has obtained something which he did not like, or a person has been separated from something which he likes. When such a cause for distress has arisen, anudvigna mana, that means not being disturbed or not having a vikara in one's mind, not being agitated. And sukeshu, that means when there is a cause of happiness, vigata spruha, that means not having attachment during the sukha. Not having attachment when there is a sukha. So that is dukeshu anudvignamana, sukeshu vigata spruha. And then vita raga bhaya krodha. So here Krishna mentioned three things: raga, bhaya, krodha. So raga means desire towards sukha that will come in the future. So dukeshu anudvignamana, sukeshu vigata spruha, they talk about the present state. Suppose in the present state, a person has obtained dukkha. At that time, a person is being undisturbed. Or the present time, a person has obtained sukha. But at that time, Vigata Spruha, a person is not attached to that. But Vita Raga is referring to the desire for obtaining Sukha in the future. Desire towards Sukha which will come in the future. So Vita Raga means not having the desire. So Vita Raga means not having the desire to obtain Sukha in the future. And then Vita Baya. Vita Raga Baya Krodha. Vita Baya means not having the fear that in the future I may obtain dukkha. Vita Baya, not having the fear that in future I may obtain something which is undesirable. Or not having the fear that in the future I may not obtain which is desirable. So in that sense, Vita Raga and Vita Baya is about the Sukha and Dukkha which may come or may not come in the future. And Dukesh Anudvignamana and Sukesh Vigata Spruha is about the Sukha and Dukkha which has come in the present. At that time, not being disturbed or not being attached. And then Vita Krodha. Vita Krodha means usually when a person obtains a Dukkha, we think that this person is responsible for my Dukkha, which is for my Dukkha in my life. And then when we become angry towards that person. So Vita Krodha means not being angry towards the person who is the cause of dukkha. So not being angry towards the person who is actually the instrument of our own karma. So Vita Raga Baya Krodha Sitadir Muni Ruchyate. Muni means what? Manana Shila, one who is expert in the contemplation. About what? One who is expert in contemplation about the Atma or the Paramatma. Sitadir Muni Ruchyate. So this verse also what Krishna has spoken to the Sitadir Muni, the second chapter of the Gita. This also can be seen in the same light here in relation to this Niti Shataka verse. Of course, the 14th chapter also Arjuna asks questions about what are the symptoms of a person who has transcended the three modes. What are the internal symptoms? What are the external conduct of a person who has transcended the three modes? And there also Krishna speaks similar verses, 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 23 to I think 25, 23 to 22 to 25.
Prakasham cha pravrittim cha. Is it that?
Prakasham cha pravrittim cha mohameva cha pandava nadveshti sampravrittani na nivrittani kamshati. And then the mana apamanayo tulyas tulyo mitrari pakshayo sarvaramba parityagi, those verses. So and this particular point, in this shloka it is mentioned that the mind of a great person, sometimes it is like the lotus, it is soft like a lotus, and sometimes during prosperity, and during adversity, it is also hard like a stone of a big mountain, which is unshakable. So a similar analogy comes actually in relation to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to South India, when he was going to South India, the devotees were trying to delay Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's yatra to South India. But Mahaprabhu, somehow he was insistent, he wanted to go to South India because he wanted to spread the Harinam Sankirtan. When Mahaprabhu was leaving Jagannath Puri, that time Sarvam Bhattacharya he actually becomes unconscious. When he becomes unconscious, so at that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not even look behind whether Sarvam Bhattacharya is alive or not. Something has happened to him or not. He did not even look behind. He just went ahead. So in that connection, there is a beautiful shloka which is quoted. Let me just locate that shloka. So there is a beautiful shloka which comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Vajradapi katorani mruduni kusumadapi lokotaranam chetamsi konu vigyatum ishvaraha. This verse is quoted. The hearts of those above common behavior are sometimes harder than a thunderbolt and sometimes softer than a flower. How can one accommodate such contradictions in great personalities? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although Sarvam Bhattacharya was such a dear devotee, but Mahaprabhu did not even look back when Sarvam Bhattacharya fell down unconscious. It appeared like Mahaprabhu's heart was like harder than a thunderbolt. And same Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sometimes he would display heart which is softer than a lotus flower. He displayed such a soft-hearted nature in so many times actually. But Haridas Thakur disappeared from this world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally held the body of Haridas Thakur and washed the body of Haridas Thakur. He personally begged the charity to observe the disappearance of Haridas Thakur. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on hearing the Vasudev Datta's prayer, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started crying actually, seeing Vasudev Datta's compassion for the people. So, that's the same way. Sometimes great people, they display uncommon behavior. Sometimes their heart is like a harder than a thunderbolt. Because sometimes like Mahaprabhu as a sannyasi, he wanted to observe the sannyasa dharma. Sannyasa dharma is to actually to go and spread the message of the Lord, the common people in general. But his dear devotees were not allowing him to leave Jagannath Puri. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like although these devotees were very dear devotees, dear associates, but Mahaprabhu sometimes he did not he had to suppress his emotions for the sake of performing his sannyasa dharma, spreading the Harinam Sankirtan. So this is about the shloka. Then maybe next shloka we'll discuss. It's already 6:15. Next shloka is a beautiful shloka about association. We started, it will take more time actually. We'll start maybe next time. So anybody has any questions or anybody would like to share anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So I was just thinking that this Niti Shatakam, all these verses. So actually here it is said about the Sajjan and the Durjan persons. So there is one shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam that Hari Abhakta so Kuto Mahad Guna. So Prabhuji, I was thinking that the people, those who are not yet fortunate enough to come in the association of devotees, and for those who are not yet devotees, for them, Prabhu, I see that many times it is seen that the sadhaka is trying his best for some he's doing his sadhana, but it is seen that those people have some good qualities, nice speaking and all that. But some other time, those quality don't come out from them. So how to see it? Here is the sadhaka who is doing the practice, and then he will also attain qualities like that. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Because we should respect. Bhagavatam says that yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana, sarvair gunaistatra samasate sura, harava kuto mahatguna, manoratena satidavato bhagihi. This verse is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj in the fifth canto of the Bhagavatam. One who has unflinching, one who performs unflinching devotional service to Krishna, akinchana bhakti. To such a person, all the good qualities of the devatas will naturally come to such a person. On the other hand, if somebody is not a harav abhaktasya, if somebody is not a devotee of Lord Hari, kuto bhagat even if a person possesses certain good qualities, it will not. What is the big deal? It may disappear in due course. So, of course, in a practical level, whenever somebody sees good quality, whenever we see some good quality, whether somebody may be a devotee or not a devotee, we have to appreciate actually. We should appreciate. There are many people, one may not have received the seed of Bhakti Lata Bija, Krishna, but they are dharmic and they follow the Vedic principles and different sampradayas. We should give due respect to them. But when a person becomes averse to the lotus feet of Krishna, so even suppose somebody may be attached to the impersonal feature of the absolute truth, but as long as he is not averse to the principles of bhakti, then he may also possess certain qualities, and we can appreciate them on that level. But when a person becomes averse to the principles of bhakti to Krishna, then those, even if a person possesses good qualities, then in due course of time, because one is say vimukha towards Krishna, averse to the principles of devotion to the Krishna, then one may fall down from his position. But otherwise, we can give, when we see good qualities in others, we can respect them. We should respect them. And in the case of the devotees, a person who is practicing sadhana bhakti, but then still he is displaying some bad qualities, he may be speaking harshly or certain bad qualities. So we should focus on the primary quality of the devotee. So this person has taken shelter of Krishna and overlook the faults of the person. Just like when we suppose somebody has not taken bath since many days. After a long time, suppose he starts taking bath. And when he's taking bath, at that time, lot of dirt is coming from his body. So do we become angry towards the dirt which is coming from the body? No. Now, at least we have to appreciate the fact that he has started taking bath. So once he completes taking bath, then the dirt will be completely gone. So similarly, when a person has sincerely taken shelter of the process of sadhana bhakti, even if he displays certain bad qualities, at least we have to appreciate the fact that he has appreciate the fact that he has taken shelter of Krishna. He is following the process of bhakti. In due course of time, the bad qualities will go, and then he will also develop good qualities.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. And Prabhu, one more thing, can I share?
Yes.
Prabhuji, the example which you gave about Maharaj Ambrish, Savay Mana Krishna Padarvinda. So there I was just relating with the Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Shri Krishna says that there are three places of lust where the lust takes seats in the mind, in the senses, mind, and intelligence. So there the Lord says that first try to curb the senses. So even if our mind is not in the Padar Vindyor, so we should try to engage all our senses. Then slowly our mind will also be, means he will mind will start liking that all the devotional practices which we are doing, and the mind will find pleasure in that. Right now the mind is finding pleasure in the material activities, but when our senses are engaged fully, so for us, for me, it is very difficult to engage fully 24 hours a day, but whatever time we can do, then slowly the mind will start liking that things.
Correct.
So this I was relating. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to say anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, I was just trying to contemplate when you yourself spoke about how Sarva Bhavana Bhattacharya, he fainted and Mahaprabhu didn't even look around, you know. So just trying to recollect what I heard, that one person came to, I don't know the Acharya's name, but he came and then he said, "Oh, my wife is no more and I need to come and join you." And he was quite hard about it. And then he said that, "Oh, if you've not been able to cry for your wife, then I don't think you can join me," something like that. And another person, he cried and he said, "Okay, I want to join you." He said, "Yes, you come," because it's very important that a person, like most of these things which you just spoke about, I was trying to reflect on the 12th chapter Bhagavad Gita 13, 14, you know, how you know, about equipoise sthita pragnasya ka bhasha, you know, like that. Most of the verses from 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita are also highlighted in them. And just on a lighter note about that dukh and sukha, I just remembered, like if you're in dukh because supposing you have a dental problem, and so that's dukh for you because there's going to be a big hole in your pocket. But it's sukh for the doctor because he's going to earn a lot of money out of you. So what is dukh for you is going to be sukh for somebody else.
Thank you, man. Anybody else wants to share? So then we'll stop here. So next week we'll continue from 67.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.